how are y'all going to know? Like, y'all are good people, right? Like, if you are pushing too hard or doing something that is making me feel comfortable in any way, you would want to know so that you can not do it again. And if I hid that, then you would keep doing it, and then I would continue to get upset with it. It makes no sense to hide it. So, yeah, no. That's just any person with a solid sense of communication skills and just understanding the bigger picture in that aspect doesn't hide it. I can understand certain aspects in the sense of, let's go to just chatting real quick. We'll switch this to just chatting. I understand from the perspective of, like, if it's something someone really cares about, or from the perspective of emotions are really raw. Like, if someone really was, like, excited and like they just finished a really stressful, let's say they had a really big performance and their adrenaline is high and they're all in their feelings and they're all in that moment, the last thing you want to do is be like, you kind of sucked, right? But after like a couple days later or something, when the high is kind of ran out and they've kind of returned back to themselves a bit, then you can kind of come back with like a stronger bit of feedback. Like that's fine. But in the aspect of, like, especially when it comes to like Twitch chat and y'all and live streaming and stuff, I think I've been pretty forward overall as far as like moments that have been kind of tickling that line, and I feel like I handle it well, or I make it at least obvious enough of like, hey, that's not acceptable kind of thing. Luckily y'all are usually really, really good, so I don't have to do that kind of thing. Right, you were up to 6 hours straight, so I want to be careful in case something said hurtful but was not noticed due to sleep deprivation. I mean, yeah, I can see that. I mean, to be fair, if I don't notice with sleep deprivation, then you're probably in the clear. Because I didn't notice. But no, I get it. This isn't a normal stream. I don't have my head on straight, so I could see that being an additional worry of like, hey, you're fine. I appreciate you having concern for me. That is very kind of you, and I appreciate that. But know that I tend to lean on the honest and forthcoming side of things versus the more hiding and pretending side of things, even in a streaming environment. So at the very least, you don't have to worry about that all that much. It's just, I prefer it for the same reasons as I mentioned earlier. It's just I think it creates a healthier relationship between y'all and myself if I'm more forthcoming and transparent. Transparent's a good word for it. Which is why I also show all the nitty gritty. Which is why I also show like all the bad stuff. I mean, there have been streams and some recordings. Even we'll talk about it in the game dev stuff, but there were some days on here, like this one right here, doing our best when we're not on our best. Like some days I had bad days when I streamed, and I was like, you know what? My heart's not in it today. We're gonna have to cut it early. That's it. Surprisingly enough, it is funny. This one got traction. This one got 6 views. None of the other ones really got views. This one did. And it was the one where I wasn't having a good day. But like, yeah, some days are just better than others. Today's a good day. Don't get me wrong, I'm tired. If I'm gonna do this again, I'm definitely doing midnight to midnight, because after I'm done with this, I'm gonna sleep, and I'm gonna be sleeping at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which is going to royally screw up my entire sleep schedule. It's gonna be a problem. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, how I'm gonna fix it. Actually, I do. I'm gonna have to stay up another full like cycle to try to reset it. My Monday's gonna be fucked. I'm not gonna be able to do anything on Monday. Yeah, learning experience, exactly. I thought I had it bad, but I had it exactly where I needed it to be. Thank you. Well, I think I'm only planning on ever doing 24-hour streams. I really like the Halloween one, so I want to do the Halloween again, and I'm fine with doing it this time a year as well. So like March and October, every 6-7 months or so, we'll have one 24-hour stream. Yeah, twice a year. I think that's fair. Yeah, right? I don't think that's pushing too hard. For the most part, the first like 12 hours is fine. Like the first 12 hours is perfectly fine. Like I barely feel anything after the first 12 hours. Like we were good until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then like the tail end of that repo stream. The tail end of the repo stream, I was like, I'm starting to feel it a bit. But I think it's specifically when my body's like, all right, idealists, it's time to go to bed. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to bed, because at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning is when I usually go to bed. And then fighting that natural urge of wanting to go to sleep during a time that it's time for me to go to sleep. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny. All right. Enjoy the park. I'll be here for the next 5 hours. So you're good. You're absolutely fine. But we're gonna be talking about game dev. We're gonna be talking about game dev right now. So, as far as the game dev journey goes, we started this game dev journey 6th of May. So it was right around the time when I started making the VODs in the first place, kind of. Where, like, I started streaming late March, and then there's like April when I think I was just doing art in games. I'm going to be watching the game dev videos after stream, even though it will be fun to watch the stream. All right, sounds good. So we'll have a VOD, but it will also host this section in the VOD. Okay. I will make sure that the little sections have VODs too. Just for you, Dragon. No problem. I think that all these videos will be like the history of, like, or like game dev 2024 in a nutshell or something is probably how I'll paint it. And but yeah, no, so it started in May, where we actually broke down our game, like we started our game dev journey, where we discussed our like options, right? We went through all my ideas. So I had like a crap ton of ideas of games that I could put in front of people, and I went through them and I was like, okay, I can only pick one. Which one are we picking and why? and there was a handful of different ones, and I think Last Call was one that was relatively recent at the time. No, not a Charlie horse. Have you eaten well? Get some electrolytes in you. Get some potassium. Get some sodium. If it's that bad of a cramp, you probably have an imbalance. Get some food. Or at least electrolytes in you. Excuse me. Sorry. But after going through the list, I think it was like, why must I eat so much? I hate it. I mean, you can drink electrolytes. Like, I don't know if you have Gatorade or something, anything like that. Or there's a couple of, like, it's not Pedialyte, but it might be Pedialyte. That really help with, like, nutrients and vitamins and minerals. Or not of that, electrolytes. And no, it was we broke them down into different parts, and I chose Last Call. One, because I was really interested in it. It lowered it down to like 4 different ones, and I vaguely remember which ones they were. It was a tie between a story I wanted to tell about so there was 4. The first one is an investigator that was looking into a sketchy organization that was a predominant figures in orphans, and they were trying to find if they were doing like weird things as far as like the children going missing and stuff like that. Banana honey peanut butter sandwich, hell yeah, sounds delicious, and I think that would really help. So there was that, which was very narrative driven. I liked it, but the location, the environmental storytelling that would need to be done would be so taxing to make all of those like 3D models that I decided against it. There was a game called Stray, but it wasn't like the cat Stray. It was about a dog that wasn't a dog. A lot of these were mimic stories, by the way. I guess I just mimic on the mind. And like you're just a guy who's like walking his dog occasionally, and you would switch between the dog's point of view at night to protect the home, and then the day point of view whether you were the person, and you're just like over a span of 3 days watching how other dogs disappear and things start to kind of spiral until eventually the last night happens, and the quote-unquote dog breaks into the apartment and kills the family except the dog, and you as a dog need to get out of the apartment alive. And so that one was one. The third one was a FPS horror where you're hunting down this thing in the woods, and I wanted to make it feel like you were the one being hunted, where like that script is being flipped on you. And I thought that was pretty good, but and I ended up going with Last Call because it was one of those ones where it had just enough interest. I had just enough interest in it that I really wanted to push for it, and I felt that the scope was small enough that I could get it done within 3 months. I was wrong, terribly wrong. It's been a year, and I wouldn't even say I'm halfway done. But that was also with the anticipation of me working on it 4 hours a week, twice a week, every week. So 8 hours a week, I think. I don't remember if I started with twice a week or was it 3 times a week, but you know, same idea. It was like I was putting in like, no, I think it was 3 times a week. I think it was 3 times. I think it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday game dev, Tuesday, Thursday games. I was doing 5 times a week then. And so I was like, 12 hours a week for 2 months. And, you know, nowadays we're only doing it like once a week, etc. And so the scope was, of course, skewed because I ran into issues, because I didn't really know how to code or do anything. So I had to teach myself everything, and I wasn't anticipating that into like the schedule. But, you know, the next step after we chose our game was to make the game design document. And this is where we made the game design document of what we want the game to look like, what the scope we want to keep it in, to make sure that there isn't like a feature creep kind of situation. And then put in like our goals as far as meeting certain dates, as far as the order in which we're working on stuff. And then once the design document was made, then we started like coding. And the first thing that I started doing was the main menu. Because in order for me to join the game, I wanted there to be a menu that I could interact with. And I went about doing it in a way where I copied not even a tutorial, but like an example main menu thing in Godot. And I saw the code they used, and I tried to take that and then figure out how it works and then make my own version of it. And that took, like, no joke, 3 weeks. It took that long to like figure it out. It was rough. It was a rough 3 weeks. Then I made all the different objects, the really simple one, and then I did a map like for like a good 2 weeks. There was a good 2 weeks of us figuring out the map, how we want to have all the houses arranged, how we put the roads together, and then taking that map that we made and that we've kind of designed to like flow in a particular way, and then in the game make it so that it's like, okay, these are objects and these mean this, and these are roads, that means we want you to be able to follow it. And I went down a particular road in game development where I would hit a button, or I would what's the word I'm looking for? Where I coded where you would click a certain location, and then the emergency vehicles would go to where you clicked. And so I had to figure out pathing. I had to figure out how to get the roads to like contain it, as well as like it figuring out where that location is at the right speed, etc. And then of course we went in the direction of like, oh, let's avoid point and click, and more of like if the person's calling you, you could just send the button, it'll just go to that location. Because what if are we really going to ask the players to remember the like location of the houses as they come, on top of everything else we're asking them to figure out? And because we have to think about mental load. And then we had a whole 2 streams. The first stream was about looking up accessibility options. Getting that accessibility option discussion nice and early, I think is very important, because we need to know which ones we're willing to bend for and which ones we're not willing to bend for. So like a good example of this is like particular save states, maybe including timing, like the time restrictions as far as making a decision being manipulative, being able to have something that the player has control over, is huge. But as far as accessibility, like audio or people who are deaf, would be a much more difficult thing to do. because like if your job is to figure out if the person on the other side has any weirdness, it's difficult to represent that in a visual format that doesn't blatantly say it, right? So that doesn't mean it's impossible, but it means that there's a lot less flexibility auditorily wise in an auditorily heady game than it is from the perspective of other aspects of accessibility, which is much more flexible, right? If for whatever reason it's just like, oh, in a non-visual kind of focus of a game, do we need to worry about putting like an arachnophobia mode on, or do we need to worry about having color blindness being an issue, or like things like that kind of thing, where it's like, or like flashing lights. It's like, well, I mean, you can't find your honey and you want honey. That checks out. So that was one of the streams, and then the other stream was deciding of the things that we researched on and what possibility combinations from there, which ones are we willing to move forward with. And one of the more interesting aspects that kind of came of this is the idea that this game can actually be a pretty good screen game, like on a tablet or a phone. So that is something that we plan on exploring in the future, is like this game being PC but also on like app stores on tablets, because there isn't a whole lot of horror on tablets in you know, screens where you like physically touch them. And then so throwing my hat in a ring that has a lot less competition with a hopefully good quality that I am aiming for would give me a better shot, right? And then I spent God knows how long of getting, you know, the things to move, and then we did like a couple of learning here and there as far as learning more about CAD systems, which are the actual systems that emergency responders use and how they function and how they look and how they interact, just to make sure that we're making it as, I wouldn't say as accurate as possible, but accurate, right? I'm sorry, my guy. My girl, Alice. Sorry, Alice. Let's see here. Deciding how we want the calls to come through. Oh, that was the deciding of like, how do we want to answer the phone call? Do we want it to look? Do we want to look at the phone? Do we not want to look at the phone? How are we going to have the calls coming through? And that's what we decide as far as like moving the camera to the different objects. And that's when we were like, oh, this is caller ID. This is like a little print thing that has all the history of all the calls. Like this, that's where that came from, is like really trying to figure out like, how do we want the experience to be from that kind of interaction. And then this is me trying to move the camera. Oh yeah, for the longest time the reason I couldn't get the camera to move is because there was one setting in the main menu that was blocking any input that goes beyond the main menu. So it wasn't even receiving signals, and that took like weeks to figure out. I wouldn't say weeks, maybe 8 weeks. It's difficult to say. Let's see. Objects recognizing themselves. I think this was when I started going in the direction of like zones, and I'm starting to get in the mindset of the imposter spread. Yeah, interesting. Not to be seduced by an interesting imposter system. This is like the discussion as far as the actual discussion about the imposter system, as for how we want it to spread, how we want it to go forward, how do we want the narrative to build, like that kind of stuff. And then it's just a lot of me trying to figure that out. Oh, then we did a whole thing where we talked about shiny Pokemon. We spent like the first hour doing shiny Pokemon hunt, not hunting, but like not judgment, but like deciding which ones that we liked that we didn't like. I think this one is a discussion on all the different potential interactions in making sure that we didn't want like to make us a tree, like a logic tree, because the possible interactions of 32 houses intermingling with each other in different ways is insane. And then essentially from October 2nd to the 12th is me trying to get the array thing that we finally figured out relatively recently to like figure out. And yeah. And then we picked it back up in February. We stopped in October after we figured out shape casting. Because we dropped game dev so I could focus more on projects, and that didn't work. But I blame I need a food break. Is it that obvious? I just don't know what to eat. I guess I can look around. I also kind of need to use the restroom. I wanted to make myself a PB&J sandwich. Also, probably a good idea if I have my medicine now. I take thyroid medication, and I need to take it on an empty stomach. So this is what I'm going to do, because I'm trying to think of like something easy to cook. I'm gonna have some. I have some like tortellini I could just boil, and then I can have some garlic bread. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take my medicine, and then I'm gonna just boil some water, boil some tortellini, make some garlic bread real quick. I will be like, give me like 5 to 10 minutes to go to the bathroom real quick. I apologize for making y'all sit, but I will be. Let me go do that. Yeah. Be right back. What we will do? Let's do this. Let's do. Where are you? I was gonna put the thing on where it's like ads. Yeah. All right. Be right back. All right. To answer the question. No, I haven't eaten, but it's boiling. It's on its way. Hello. Apologize for anybody who was waiting for too long. Just making some food. In the bathroom. The usual. Pretty much all in all, if I was to give a summary of my game dev experience, is that I think if I knew what I was doing, I would have met my goals as far as a 2-3 month game dev cycle. However, they don't matter. You being fed matters. I appreciate it, Alice. Don't worry, it's cooking. We'll I'm not putting it off, don't you worry. What was I saying? Oh, right. But I drastically underestimated the cost of time and energy it takes to do something that you don't know what to do. And I'm not used to making timelines for things of like how long it will take for you to get to a particular point when you have no idea because you've never done it before, right? I'll also mention at the very least that, I mean, we ended in October, right? So it was May, June, July, August, September, October. So 6 months. We did 6 months of game dev. And then from October, how do you think I feel about writing? True. But when I'm trying to treat it in the same way of like creating a timeline and sticking to a timeline, it is a little frustrating seeing myself so far off base. But it's just learning experience, right? If anything, I just need to be more realistic in my timelines. Because otherwise, it's like you either need to adjust your timeline to what you're actually capable of, which is what you should do, or you become frustrated that you're not going to the expectations that you put on yourself, which is, you know, much more of a toxic mentality to have. And one that I'm still trying to properly apply. So yeah, 6 months, and then October, November, December, January, February, and then we took a 5-month hiatus, and then we started back up in the last month. So technically, we've only really been at game dev stuff for 7 months ish. And you know what? It'll be all the better for it. This game, if we stick with it, I'm not 100% sure we're going to be able to. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to still try to get this thing done. But as far as like juggling a full-time job and streaming and projects, something tells me game dev might fall through the cracks. We'll see though. I'm certainly not going to give up on it, but we'll see. Especially since it's considered like a separate revenue stream, right? It's an investment. But you can tell the drastic difference between these two, don't you? It's like thumbnail, raw, and then custom thumbnails. Just the way it even presents is completely different. But hey Bankley, how you doing? I'm waiting for my food to cook as we talk about game dev stuff. How you doing today? We're on the last leg. Good. Glad to hear it. The last 4 hours. The last cold to the land. Oh, that's because I am tired. Also, it doesn't help that let's see. What have I eaten? We started at 1 and we kept going. I had a good chicken and green beans for lunch. Hey, first of all, hey, Alice, I did eat. I ate cereal with milk at like 11 o'clock p.m. ish. So 10 hours ago. It doesn't help my argument a whole lot, but I did, at least I had something, you know. I had a little bit of food. But it's hard to do this and eat at the same time. Even though I should prioritize my stuff, I know I should. Learn from my mistakes. I will also learn from my mistakes. Right? You're gonna breakfast not even to hold you over for 10 hours? Yeah, well, the 3 caffeinated drinks helped me a bit. considerably. Let's see. In total, I spread out about 210 milligrams of caffeine-ish. So we're still well within, like, a daily limit. I think the daily limit's like 400, if I remember correctly. I remember Googling it and being like, hey, can I take 3 of these? Will I die? And it's like, no, you'll be fine. But I just haven't really stepped away. I'm not really hungry. The caffeine, in case you don't know, restricts appetite. So I'm not really hungry, I'm just tired. But part of the reason that I'm so tired is because I haven't properly eaten. And honestly, what really hurt it, too, all that exercise that I did. I did a lot of exercise. I probably did over 100 push-ups, probably over 200 crunches, equal amount of squats for push-ups, easily, over the span of that period of time. So I had a lot of energy burn and a lot of like micro tears and stuff like that, and I just wasn't replacing what I was damaging. Yeah, I should eat extra, exactly. I mean, I added some extra tortellini, and that's why the food I'm gonna eat now is gonna be energy heavy. It has cheese, it has pasta, it has marinara sauce, it has proteins, it has carbs, it has fats, it has all the things, and I'm gonna also have garlic bread as well. So that should help, at the very least. Because I don't want to sound like I'm dying. That's not entertaining in the slightest. Well, maybe it is, depending on your perspective. But no, I think it's rougher this time around than it was for Halloween, just because I chose poorly. I'm disappointed I had to tell you to eat. It's less to do with like you forcing my hand and more to do with like you reminded me that I haven't eaten. And I'm like, you're right. I haven't eaten in a while. And I really do feel like I'm running out of gas. And I think partly due to that is I haven't properly eaten. And it just kind of like was just like, oh yeah. Oops. I mean, even with the 24-hour Halloween stream, it was less taxing with the Halloween stream just because the breaks were actual breaks. And I could just turn on a YouTube video for y'all and then I would just walk away and get some food. Whereas this time it was just a different way of entertaining. I still was like doing stuff. So in hindsight, let's not do that. Or we'll do like a half and half where it's like 30 minutes of follow-up and then another 30 minutes of actual rest. Where we just kind of entertain ourselves in some way and we relax. Hello. How is the park? Hopefully well. I'm waiting for my food to boil so I can actually have some food. I'm trying to remember. I had the bowl of cereal when we were playing Dead Space. So that was... No, that wasn't even 11 o'clock. That was closer to like 9. Now that I think about it. For under maintenance, a lot of new payment. Gotcha. Cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the walk. I'm sorry the park was so under maintenance, though. It's kind of the whole point of the tennis court fence. Oh, cool. Play with it how? How do you play with the fences? Unless I'm tired enough that I'm not fully understanding what you're saying. That is possible. Gotcha. Oh, do you play tennis? Without going into too much detail, I grew up around tennis. So, yeah. Granted, I don't play currently. I might have if there wasn't so much pressure to go into it, but yeah, it is expensive. It's a very expensive sport. Maybe not as expensive as like golf, but it's still pretty expensive. Have you considered doing like pickleball? It's so funny listening to people talk about pickleball around my family. They get so mad. Yeah, go for it. Like, why not? I mean, if it's more affordable and it gets you out there and kind of scratches the similar itch, then why not, right? Dodgeball? Oh, yeah, go for it. I wouldn't really associate the two, but maybe it's the right itch for you. Any particular reason for dodgeball? Hey, no, you didn't miss anything yet. I'm waiting for my food to cook, and then we'll be hopping right into Cult of the Lamb. Oh shit, did I set a timer? Shit, I don't think I set a timer. Oh, damn it! It's probably overcooked. It's fine. So, it's boiled tortellini. It's fine. It's okay. But I like my tortellini a little out, like I like it al dente. I like it a little bit where they're still like firm a little bit. So the fact that it was boiling for so long, it's practically mush. Where it's just like the tortellini shells are just like so soft that they just like disintegrate. And I'm just like, ugh. But what I'm gonna do is that I'm just gonna let it like dry out for a little bit. Hopefully it'll harden up a bit and do that. So it'll be a little bit before it's like ready. I guess what we could do in the meantime is pull up Cult of the Lamb. We might need to reset again OBS. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna do ad breaks so that y'all don't get pre-ads, pre-rolls. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do integration, but we'll see if we can make it work. So I'll see y'all by the time the ad's over. Close the Lamb should be up, and then we'll see if the integration's working. Yes, I know. Alice, you want a child. Dragon, you want to live, and I'm guessing Silly, you want a body. So we have a lot to do.